What up, y'all? Dodge back with another add-ons video. So in honor of the new expansion, I decided after several years of work to just straight up delete my interface and WTF folder and start fresh, and this is what it's evolved to. So I'm going to put a list of all the different add-ons you're seeing on the screen, but pretty much this is what it looks like if I'm not in combat, I don't have a pet or a target. Now if I do have a pet out and I have a target, Shadow Unit Frames pops up and notifies me of that. Now when I get in combat, you're going to see Tell Me When and Raven start working beautifully together to show me a bunch of shit I need to see when I'm in combat. If I'm not in combat, I don't need to see it, and it allows me to look at all the pretty shit Warlords of Draenor has to offer. So let's get in and I'm going to show you guys how I have this set up and a couple little tips and tricks to help you out. Alright, so first up on the list is Bartender. Now, Bartender is cool because it allows you to use key bindings to toggle your action bars. So if I hold Control, it gives me another 12 buttons. If I hold Alt, it gives me another 12. Now, it also lets you fade things out. So over here on the right, I have my micro bar and my bag bar faded out and out of the way. Now, if we go over here to the left, you can see I have my different spells and key bindings also faded out. Now, with this one, if I hold Control, it gives me another 12 buttons on my Razer Naga mouse, which proves to be pretty useful. So now if we just /Bartender, we're going to go into the configuration. Now, one of the first things I'd like to note is if you go to bars, make sure that you check toggle actions on key press instead of release. This is just going to allow your spells to activate when you press the button rather than when you release it, giving you a little edge on the game. So, first thing we're going to do is we're going to go in and show you how to do the visibility. So, we're just going to go to bar 1 and you're going to go over to the visibility tab. Now, you're going to check fade out and you want to make sure the alpha and the delay is set to 0. Now, something else, if you're not going to fade it out, make sure that you go down and hide the macro text and hotkey text. Just it gives it a much cleaner look, and you already know where the shit's at anyways. So, next on the list is going to show you how to page between the bars. So, we're going to go to bar 5, and I have my shit hidden. You're going to go to State Configuration, and make sure you enable it. Control pages to 6, Alt pages to 7. And it's real simple. You go to bar 6 and 7, set it up, and just make sure that you go and uncheck the enable thing, and there you go. So yeah, pretty much everything else in Bartender is pretty simple to use and basic, but hopefully these little tips helped you out a little bit. Alright, so Shadow Unit Frames. We're going to start off here by targeting myself and you see the frames pop up. Now when I focus myself, I get this nifty little focus frame. Now when I take damage, you can see how my health bars cascade inwards and change color, which not only is sexy but also super effective. Call my pet out and my pet pops up. Now, in order to get into the settings, we're just going to hit /SUF. First thing we're going to do here is check the Advanced tab to make sure we're getting all the settings, then change the background to black. You go into Colors, and this is going to allow you to change the color depending on your percentage of health. So, we need to enable units to see what we're looking at. I use Player, Pet, Target, Target to Target, and Focus. Now, you change the settings by going to the thing on the left. So, for Player, the Combat Fader, this is where I have everything fading out when I'm not in combat. You go up to frame. This is just the size of the frame, obviously. These are the different bars that you want to use. For health, you want to do health percentage. Widget size, this just lets you change the height of it. Buffs, I don't use any. Indicators, this lets you get like the class icons and whatnot. And this is how you change the text on each thing. So you'd go to health bar, left text. I'm obviously using percentage health and only percentage health. So then you go into health bar, and this is where you just move everything around and change the size of the indicator. So, okay, to get my focus target, we're going to go to the focus thing on the left, and first thing we're going to do is I did the range indicator so I can see when they're not in range. Go to the frame, make the height and the width a lot smaller than the icon so you can go to the class icon and actually make the size real big. So yeah, I mean that's pretty much it with Shadow Unit Frames. It's kind of intimidating at first, but use it a little bit and it gets pretty easy.
Alright, so Tell Me When is definitely one of my favorite add-ons, and that's why I made a whole other video about it that I'll put in the description. But to give you a little taste, hit /TMW and it's going to bring up all your spell icons. In order to get into settings, you just right-click on one, and I'm going to show you how to set up a basic spell cooldown. So under the drop-down right here, we're going to select Spell Cooldown, type in the name, range check, power check, and then make sure usable and unusable are both checked. I like 185% alpha. Show timer text, and allow global cooldown is going to make it look like a regular Blizzard icon. We don't need any conditions or notifications here, and group conditions we'll get into later. Under main options though, this is where you go to only show in combat if that's what you want, and then columns and rows allows you to decide how many icons are in the group, and icons is what I use over bars for Tell Me When because I use Raven for all the bars. So for something like a reactive ability, you want to go into here and go to reactive ability, kill shot is what I use it for, and then uncheck usable because you don't want to see it when you can't use that item. And you also don't need any groups or conditions here. Over here on the left though is I have this set up for when I'm doing arenas so I can see my Pally's Blinding Light and Fist. So unit cooldown, the name of the spell, it'll suggest it. Party 1 through 4 is what I'm tracking, and then usable and unusable just like I had on my other spells. Down here also, this allows you to set up different conditions for set passing or failing. So this one I have to only show when the condition is set to passing, and then I went over to the conditions tab and set it up to if I have Lone Wolf learned and I have a pet out, it'll notify me that I have a pet out and I have Lone Wolf. So it's really nice to not miss out on the damage. And then I have an activation border set up, and we set that up by going to animation, on show, and then you're going to go over here to select activation border and then play indefinitely. So now when the icon comes up, it'll also have an activation border alerting me, which is really nice. Okay, so to set up my sniper training, it was real easy because sniper training is just a buff. So on the left side, I have sniper training showing. When it's gone, there's none present. And then on the right-hand side here, I have sniper training recently moved. So when I don't have it and I actually stop moving, it comes up on the left-hand side. So it's really easy to monitor, and I really like how that works out. To do like items like your PvP trinket or something, it's obviously pretty simple. You just use item cooldown, and you can actually drag the item right into it. So also with the group conditions, I have a dual spec one. So when I'm in one spec, it'll show one bar. When I'm in another spec, it'll show the other. And you can see here that I have two different things showing. So that's really nice, one for PvP, one for PvE. So yeah, Tell Me When can pretty much do anything you want it to. This is just the tip of the iceberg.
Alright, next on the list is Raven. Now Raven is used to control your buffs and debuffs. So let's get in here, and /Raven brings up the settings. We're going to unlock all the anchors, and it doesn't look like I have a lot, but everything that I have is super potent and all has a purpose. So we have my buffs cascading down the left. My debuffs go across the top of my screen. This is big defensives and big buffs, and down here is just two little things that I'll get into here shortly. So first, to set up your buffs going down your screen like this, you're just going to go to Setup, Buffs, and then Create as Icons. Now once you do that, it's going to give you a bar group. So you go over to bar groups, find your buffs, and here it is. This is how you set it up. So obviously this is when you want it to be shown. Everything should be checked. Buffs is going to be auto buffs, player, and then cast by anyone. And obviously there's no debuffs. Cooldowns you don't need. Layout, this is where you change all the size settings and whatnot. Obviously I have icons. This is how you orient it, which way you want it. And this is how you change the size, and you click the check mark of what you want shown. So the same rule basically applies with debuffs. You set it up the same exact way. Go to debuffs, but the only difference is obviously there's no buffs, but then you just do the same thing in debuffs right here. So here's all the settings in case you want to see any of that stuff. But next on the list is big defensives. So these are all oriented in the middle of my screen so I can see them in combat, and I have my aspect of the cheetah and pack, master's call, all that different stuff that I want to see, and you set it up just by going new, buff, type in the name, action on player, and it's either cast by a player or cast by anyone depending on what the spell, like Hand of Protection and stuff would be cast by anyone obviously. So big buffs is obviously the same thing. You just go in here, set up, put in all your different buffs that you want to see, like rapid fire, post haste, nitrous boots. You can literally put any buff or debuff that you can get. Down here I have a weak ores that shows me my throw of the hunt procs, but it didn't show me the time. So I went in, made a throw of the hunt buff, and I unchecked everything but time and just overlaid it right on top of the weak ore, and you'll actually see that here at the end of this little clip. So also I have one for pet dash, but I did the opposite. I unchecked everything but bars. So now when my pet has dash, a solid bar comes up right under his screen. Alright, so as you can see, let me lock everything up here. In the background I have my Pally. So my Pally's going to run up here and put some buffs on me so you can see how that works. Obviously you can only have one hand on yourself at a time, but there's freedom, there's sacrifice, and there's my buff. So it all comes up and it's easy to monitor right in the middle of my screen. So let me drop this real quick, and you can also see Feign Death. Feign Death comes up. Aspect of the Cheetah comes up. When I get in combat, on the right hand side, all the buffs that I currently have that I have being marked are showing up. And down here you can see that little tiny time thing that's showing me for my weak ores, for my throw of the hunt procs. And deterrence comes up. That's Tell Me When. But yeah, I mean, I feel like this is definitely super simple, and it's super effective, and I really like the way it turned out. Alright guys, that's the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope it helped you out in any way. If I missed anything or there's anything you have questions on, just leave a comment, and I'll be sure to get back to you in a timely manner. Later.